On the heels of a packed weekend of action, Monday Night Raw hit the Netflix airwaves with a blockbuster main event to determine the number one contender to the World Heavyweight Championship and the first appearance of new Women's World Champion Naomi, who cashed their ticket to SummerSlam and a date with Gunther. And what did Naomi have to say after her unforgettable cash-in at Evolution on Sunday night? Find out now with this recap of Monday Night Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF, Michael Fletcher. And no, friends, your eyes are not deceiving you. She is back, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in welcoming back to our show the one and only First Lady of Talking Wrestling, TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. Dee Dee Woodson is back here tonight, folks. You know business is about to pick up. That's for damn sure. So great to have you with us, Dee Dee. We'll get to you in a little bit. So, all right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right on in. Monday Night Raw, live last night from the Legacy Arena, formerly the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center in Birmingham, Alabama. And we started it off with the woman who had the whole wrestling world buzzing on Sunday night with what I can honestly say may be the greatest cash-in when it comes to the women's Money in the Bank. The new Women's World Champion and the newest addition to the Monday Night Raw women's roster, Naomi. Naomi said at the top of last night's show, y'all weren't feeling the glow, but y'all feeling me now, aren't you? That's what she said less than 24 hours after cashing in Money in the Bank to win the Women's World Championship from Io Sky during Io's Instant Classic with Rhea Ripley. Discussing her jump from SmackDown to Raw, she told Bianca Belair, I didn't betray you, I outgrew you, before running both her and Jade Cargill down and warning the Raw locker room to proceed with caution. Rhea Ripley interrupts and said, one thing you should know about me, I'm not cautious. Io Sky interrupted next and demanded Mommy get in line before a back and forth argument ensued. Enter Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. He interjected himself into the segment, gave the women their flowers for an unforgettable night at Evolution, and rightfully so, and proceeded to announce that at SummerSlam, Naomi will defend the Women's World Championship against both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat matchup. Naomi has evolved as an in-ring presence and is so comfortable at this point. She has embraced this heel persona completely and is in the midst of her best work. As great as she has been for as long as she has been, this segment is not something she would have been able to carry on her own back during her last title run in 2017 when she was the then SmackDown Women's Champion. Ripley versus Sky versus Naomi is a blockbuster match that should, though it probably won't, be a main event of one of the two nights at SummerSlam on August 2 and 3 at MetLife Stadium. And we knew Naomi would be greeted warmly, and Rhea Ripley is the most popular woman on the roster, but the pop for Io Sky was indicative of a star on a whole other level than she was even earlier this year. I can make an argument that this was the segment of the night, in all honesty. So that's my 2 cents. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Naomi, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, triple threat match, Women's World Championship in the SummerSlam.
Yeah, and no big surprises. I think we all could agree that this was going to be the match, that this was going to be the avenue that they were going to go. And the reason why was because, look, Naomi interrupted the match and got involved and cashed in the Money in the Bank, which is the right thing to do. You have to understand that the Money in the Bank is a huge opportunity. You know, you can cash that in anytime, any place, anywhere, up to 1 year. And Naomi thought this was the moment. Now I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to go for the title. And I know a lot of people is like, well, wait a minute, why? Why would she go after the Raw Women's title? Why not? You know, something different. Well, you know, at the end of the day, that's the choice she made. So, you know, she took a chance. She took an opportunity. It worked. So, really nothing more to add here. Yes, I would say segment of the night. And Didi, I gladly now toss it to you, my friend. It's all yours.
Yeah, my return was a little secret between me and Florio. So, yeah, I gave him a heads up about when I was going to be able to come back. So, yeah, surprise, surprise, I'm here. Um, I'm not entirely surprised either about the way the first segment went. You pretty much knew everybody was going to be ticked off because she interrupted their match. So yeah, Io and Rhea, they deserve their rematch. I'm glad they're going the route they're going with it. Um, it was a big surprise that she jumped ship from SmackDown to Raw to cash in, but at the same time, it's a shakeup, and shakeups are good, and that helps develop new matches and new storylines that will help the division grow and everything. So segment of the night, definitely. I have nothing negative to say about this segment at all. So I'm tossing it to you, Florio.
All right, Didi, we move on to our first match of the night, a non-title match, as we had the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Dominic Mysterio in their corner, and they squared off against the recently reunited Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. The winners of the match in 10.5 minutes, that's 10 minutes and 30 seconds, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, they steal the win due to a distraction from the Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio. So, not much more to say. MF, looks like the Kabuki Warriors are going to have to go to the back of the line.
Yeah, well, technically it was a non-title matchup, so obviously, you know, it just kind of hurts them in the sense of that they now are, you know, if this was a contenders match, now they're out of the running for it because of the fact that the champions won this match. But you can make an argument that they may want another shot because, like you said, Dom got involved. Dom stick his neck out and basically got involved in the match where he never should have been involved in the first place. But this was Finn Balor's doing. Finn Balor asking Dom to do the right thing for the Judgment Day, to go out there and to be there for Roxanne and for Raquel. Obviously, a little trepidation from Raquel, and Roxanne was all for it. Like, yes, I need you out there. Please, let me, you know, be there for me on this one. And this is where now you could start to throw a little more of those seeds of Roxanne and Dom. Now you can tell. So especially how ultra nice she's getting, especially towards Dom. It's all a ploy. It's all a play. It's what we saw about a year or so ago, and and I'm gonna say it. Finn has been the master manipulator this whole time, and it's starting to fruition. But the thing is, when you're the champions, everything is going your way, everything's looking good, and now you're starting to feel, and I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this, but you're starting to notice that they're doing things better, and they're doing things without Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan used to be the straw that stirred the drink for the Judgment Day during their early run. Now Finn is kind of like, well, she's gone, and now you insert Roxanne Perez, and all of a sudden they're a well-oiled machine right now. Now, there hasn't been any kinks in the armor. There hasn't been any issues. It looks like everything is good. But like we said, you can see they're starting to wedge Liv out. Yes, Raquel is still mentioning about Liv. Dom has been mentioning about Liv, like trying to keep her in the forefront that, hey, she's still a member of the crew. She's still a member of the crew. She's still a member of the crew. And Balor's been kind of a little offish, like, yeah, she's still there. And even Roxanne kind of been the same way. So and I don't know, Didi, if you saw the post-fight comments that was done by Raquel and Roxanne after they successfully defended the titles at Evolution, how, Raquel was saying that, this was for you, Liv, and everything else. And then how Roxanne kind of parlayed it into like, yes, it was for Liv, but remember, it's also Judgment Day as well. So you can tell there's a little bit of a, as long as the crew is working and as long as we're staying as strong and dominant and everything else, Liv is going to slowly become an afterthought. She's going to be slowly being thrown into the back burner because this Judgment Day group, this group looks more united, and week in and week out, the more it keeps being united and everything is going good and there's no major issues, the better for Finn Balor is going to be to push Liv out of the group. So this was at least a 2.5 star match, and Didi, it is all yours.
Oh, I think it's unmuted now. Okay. I can agree with the rating. And a lot of what Fletch said, I can agree with. You could tell, even back when you had, the Twin Terrors in there, that Finn and Liv were kind of working together to break up the group. And now here we have Finn with a new ally being Roxanne Perez to, split it again. So, they are a very well-oiled machine. And Perez is right. Yeah, this isn't just for Liv. It's for the group. Because every member of the group wants a title, and every member now has a title. And no, Dom shouldn't have gotten involved, but at the same time, we now have a opportunity for him now to defend his title because of the way he got involved. Because he proved pretty much that he's not injured like he thinks or like he's trying to make everybody think he is. So, a lot of things have come out of this one match, and a lot of little strands going out for the storylines involving Judgment Day. Dom with AJ coming out of this, and the women's tag team match coming out of this. Everything just kind of all tying together with Judgment Day in the middle of it. So it was a good match, but I would agree with Fletch, on the rating. So not much more I'm going to say. It's yours, Florio.
3 to 3.25 stars is my rating for this. I do have a small bit of criticism. After the success of Evolution, the last thing we needed here was excessive interference from Dominic Mysterio even if his budding association with Roxanne Perez is at the heart of the Judgment Day story. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez have solid chemistry as a team, and it will be interesting to see them build on it as their title reign continues. There is still mileage in a rivalry with the Kabuki Warriors, but one has to wonder how often Triple H is going to be comfortable running that match back. For some of his flaws, he has tended to stay away from repeating bouts too frequently. Still, they are arguably the best tag team in the division, and keeping them out of the title picture can only happen for so long. So 3 to 3.25 stars is my rating for this match. Okay. We move on now to... Oh, here we go, MF. You know all about this. Intercontinental rules. You know what that means, Monsoon. Mm-hmm.
The legendary 2 out of 3 falls.
You got it. A 2 out of 3 falls match for an opportunity to challenge Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship in the SummerSlam. Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley. Bayley winning the first fall at 1 minute and 25 seconds. And then 8 minutes and 5 seconds later, Lyra Valkyria wins the second fall to even the bout at 1 fall apiece. Total time so far, 9.5 minutes. And then when all was said and done, add 11.5 minutes to that, and the winner of the match in a total cumulative time of an even 20 minutes, the winner of the match, 2 falls to 1, and will now challenge Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, Lyra Valkyria. Lyra wins it in an even 20 minutes. Dee Woodson, there's nothing left to say here except we got ourselves a rubber match. Lyra won at Backlash. Becky won the title from Lyra at Money in the Bank. And now we settle it at SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be, I think this may end up being one of the better women's matches because of how much heat is in this between Lyra and Becky, but don't count Bayley out. Just because we've got Lyra as the number 1 contender, you remember she cost Bayley a match. So, eye for an eye. It could happen where Bayley jumps in and costs Lyra the match. So I'm not holding Bayley out of this. But yeah, this was a really great 2 out of 3 falls match. They went back and forth. They hit finisher after finisher and kick out after kick out, and it was just a great match. I mean, I think for women matches on Raw, this was definitely one of the better that we've had in a while. And no interference needed. It was just 1-on-1, and they got the job done. Crowd very much behind it, so I'm going to give it probably 3.5 to 4. So what's yours, Florio?
I'm going to go a little higher on this one. I'm going to give this in excess of 4.25, teetering on 4.5 stars. This was absolutely amazing. For the winner of the 2 out of 3 falls match between Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, a shot at Becky Lynch in the Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. For the loser, a spot at the back of the line. Aggressive and intent on claiming victory, the role model allowed her emotions to get the best of her, creating an opportunity for Lyra. And Bayley struck first, getting the quick pinfall with a slap and a schoolgirl roll-up. And then Lyra evened the bout at 1 fall apiece with another roll-up. Each competitor delivered signature moves, but neither was able to keep the other down as near falls increased and exhaustion set in. With Lyra's back racked with pain, Bayley scaled the ropes and delivered her top rope elbow. Still couldn't keep Lyra down. And then Bayley applied an STF, but upon her attempt to roll her and her opponent back toward the center of the ring, Lyra countered, hits the Nightwing, wins the match. Lyra Valkyria has been one of the breakout stars in all of professional wrestling in 2025. And performances like this are why. She meshes well with opponents of all styles and backgrounds. The inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champ is entering that rarefied air as a performer who can be counted on to deliver a show stealer whenever she enters the ring. The question now is, where does this leave Bayley? Does she turn heel? Could she be on her way back to a role she excelled in during her first stint as a heel? Without a clear path to anything of note as a babyface, one can only hope. You can make an argument for Fight of the Night honors on this, but there was another match later on that was just as amazing as this one was. This was easily 4.25 to 4.5 stars. I see we've lost Dee Dee for a moment. Okay, we got Dee Dee back in. Okay, very good. All right. So with that being said, MF, Lyra Valkyria wins the match. Total time of an even 20 minutes. She's going to SummerSlam. She gets another shot at Becky. And now it's the rubber match. Who comes out on top? We're even 1-1. We get the proverbial rubber match at SummerSlam with Becky and Lyra for that Women's Intercontinental Championship. So not much more for me to add here. So like I said, 4.25, teetering on 4.5. Excellent match. You could say Fight of the Night if you wanted to. I certainly would not be mad at you if you did. So not much more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. Wow. What a match.
Yeah, what a match indeed. 20 minutes, it absolutely is a remarkable feat. But, I really thought they were going to give it to Bayley. I thought they were going to do Bayley versus but they decided no, they're not going to do it that way. They were going to give it to the Valkyrie and give her one more shot at the title. So I'm not mad at it. I think they, it is what it is. But no, I think they did a fine job. I thought it was a solid matchup to say the very least. And yeah, this is easily 3.5. You could even make an argument for maybe 4. I mean, that's how good this match was. So nothing more to say. Anthony Floyo, it is all yours, my friend.
All right, MF. And moving on now. A lot of backstage stuff. And then we move on to our next match. WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella squaring off against Chelsea Green with the Secret Hervis, Piper Niven, and Alba Fire in her corner. Nikki Bella wins the match in 6.5 minutes, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. By default, this was the worst fight of the night. This is about 2.5. That's the best I can go for this. And Nikki Bella was clearly dealing with some ring rust here, as this was her first singles match since the main event of the original Evolution, when she challenged Ronda Rousey for the then Raw Women's Championship at the first Evolution, October of 2018. But her performance was solid, and she still managed to hang with a competitor in her prime and coming off a run as the inaugural Women's United States Champion. Speaking of Chelsea Green, it's a testament to management's trust in her to book her against a star of Nikki Bella's magnitude in her first singles match in almost 7 years. Chelsea Green is a star, regardless of her place on the card, and she showed it here by getting the best out of her opponent. By default, this was the worst fight of the night, easily 2.5 stars. I can't go any higher than that. So, not much more to say. MF, Nikki Bella defeating Chelsea Green, 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, and the way that this was played out was exactly what it needed it to play. Nikki looking good. Yeah, it did all right. She did fine. She didn't have to do too much. It wasn't really anything that would have, wowed us or said, "Oh my goodness." No, it didn't need to be. It's just, Nikki was there, a lot of surprise, and and I always say it was a great treat for the fans. That was in Birmingham, Alabama. They got the treat more than anything else. Other than that, it was fun. It was an okay match. Nothing to write home about. At the end of the day, Nikki won it, but like you said, this is a testament to Chelsea Green and how amazing she is in the ring, and she definitely showed how good she was in this matchup more than anything else. So yeah, fine for what it was worth. 2.5 stars. Yeah, it's by default worst fight of the night, but nothing more to say. So, Didi, it's all yours.
Yeah, I will agree with the rating. I mean, it was a lot of ring rust. Of course, we didn't need Chelsea's girls getting involved either. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, and now we move on to an in-ring segment. But before that, Adam Pearce informed the New Day they will have to earn their rematch for the World Tag Team Championship before telling Dominic Mysterio that his rib injury will be reevaluated next Monday night. And that brings out the World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring General Gunther. He made his way to the ring just 48 hours removed from retiring Bill Goldberg at Saturday night's main event and retaining the World Heavyweight Championship. He said, I don't get the issue because I am in a great mood today. I ended the myth of Bill Goldberg. There's only one question to raise right now. Who's next? Braun Breaker made his way to the ring, getting ready for that huge main event, interrupting the champion, who appeared amused by his presence. And the Oracle, Paul Heyman, he warned the Ring General that his charge is going to break your ass at SummerSlam. So this is really a 2-for-1 segment because it actually did lead. It's not often we have these anymore, but we have them. We had one here, a rare one, a 2-for-1 segment. We started with that in-ring segment, and it leads us to the main event of the evening. But before I get into that, let's set the table for next week's show, which will emanate from Houston, Texas. And actually, I don't see anything on here, so we'll just get right into our main event. Gauntlet match, a 5-man gauntlet match. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus LA Knight versus main event Jey Uso versus CM Punk. The winner of this gauntlet match will challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. We started it off with Braun Breaker and Penta. Braun Breaker eliminates Penta in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. And then 11 minutes and 15 seconds later, it was Braun Breaker versus LA Knight. Their fall lasted 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Braun Breaker defeats LA Knight. Total time so far an even 21 minutes. The next competitor was main event Jey Uso. In 8 minutes and 25 seconds, Braun Breaker eliminates Jey Uso. Total time, 29 minutes and 25 seconds. And that meant the final man was CM Punk. And in a total cumulative time of 41 minutes and 20 seconds, the winner of the gauntlet match, and thus moving on to SummerSlam to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, none other than CM Punk. But wait, there was more. After the match was over, Big Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker attacking CM Punk. Jey Uso comes out. He got beat down. But then you heard those familiar sounds of his entrance theme. For the first time since getting pinned by Seth freaking Rollins in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania 41, the OTC, the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns, made his return to a pop that was beyond otherworldly. And he took out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. it's definitely looking like Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in a tag team match, player, at SummerSlam. So, holy wow, there's a lot to dissect here. MF, man, Gunther with a promo interrupted by Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman. Then we had the gauntlet. Punk wins it in a cumulative time of 41 minutes and 20 seconds. And then the return of the OTC to one of the biggest pops I have heard in forever and a day. Holy wowzers.
Yeah, no, it was massive. There was no doubt about it. For Gunther, it was a paint by numbers storyline. I don't think it was anything bad. They did a good job with it. It was solid for what it was worth. They did fine with it. I thought they did a solid job with the way that they were promoting it. I thought they did a solid job with everything that went down. Heyman coming out, money on the mic as usual, hyping the fact that no, he's we're gonna you give us the inch, we're gonna take the mile on you. So no, it was fine for what it was worth. I thought they did a really good job with it. Then the match, the gauntlet, Braun Breaker looking dominant, looking powerful, going through all these guys one by one, and everybody was thinking, uh-oh, is Braun going to be the one? Is this actually going to happen? For Punk to win, it's kind of a no big surprise because of the fact that you remember prior to the Saturday night's main event, there was an altercation between Punk and Gunther that kind of had a lot of people thinking this may be the matchup. We'll wait and see. But now here it is, and we're looking at it like, oh my goodness, this has just got very interesting to say the very least. So yeah, CM Punk is gonna be the one going after Gunther, and I'm predicting that it's probably gonna be night one. The main event for night one of SummerSlam will be Gunther versus Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be a solid. It was definitely solid. You could say 4.5 to 4.75. If you want to make an argument for 5, okay, I'll give it. But I thought they did a really good job with this. The gauntlet delivered in so many ways. So many stars got to shine. Everybody got an ample time. I think the outcome was never in doubt. And for me, they did the right thing. This was a solid matchup. Punk winning, not a big surprise, but then everything that happened after was absolutely insanity. Jey Uso coming out, helping out, and it looks like it was a double stack. They were going to do a big tsunami off it, and no, it wasn't. And all of a sudden, here we go. The OTC shows up, Roman Reigns, and oh my God, what a moment to see Roman Reigns come out. The crowd went bonkers, and yeah, here we go, guys. It's gotten real now. So, nothing more to say. And Didi, it's all yours.
Yeah, it was a very well done main event. Yeah, it looked like Braun was going to walk away with it, but of course, we all should have known that the backup would come out when needed. And yeah, I was not surprised that CM Punk won because of the backstage thing that happened not long ago. But it was still a great effort. Still continue, Braun continues to live up to his hype. He's getting a push right now. He's getting a really big push that he hopefully will eventually, lead to him getting a title shot. I would think more of a lesser title, but that's just me. Uh, Seeing Jay come back out, not surprised with that. Seeing Roman come out, it just felt right for him to come out at this time and do what he needed to do to, make it even in the end. So and to run off Heyman and flunkies there. Of course, Heyman, he still needs to get his up and comings from the OTC for everything that he's done. But, when the time comes, somebody will take care of that business. But for now, great ending to the main event. I'll give it probably 4.5 to 4.25, 4.5. So it's yours for you.
All right. Paul Heyman rallying off next big thing, Big Dog, and his yard, while putting over Braun Breaker as the next generation of his guys was a nice touch. It was also the latest mention of Roman Reigns, who had to be nearing his return ahead of SummerSlam. And Gunther telling Heyman he was not interested in listening to him was unintentionally hilarious, especially as the champion was so matter-of-fact about it. As far as the gauntlet goes, man, 4.5 to 4.75 of a star. Braun Breaker has clearly been fast-tracked for a main event push, even more so following Seth Rollins' injury this past Saturday night as part of Saturday night's main event. He was spotlighted as the clear star of the bout and should be considered the favorite to get the nod to battle Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, although I'm leaning more toward the tag match, but you never know. CM Punk versus Gunther is a match WWE has produced at live events, including a steel cage match during last December's holiday tour, but one that has never been presented on TV. It is a fresh, high-stakes, high-profile bout that, like MF said, should be one of the main events of the two-night PLE next month. 4.5 to 4.75 of a star. Excellent main event. Overall thoughts, and Didi Woodson, you picked a great time to come back because we had ourselves one hell of a Monday Night Raw last night. One of the best of the year so far. So, Didi Woodson, started with you. Overall thoughts.
Well, first of all, bear with me because I'm just getting back into this, so words don't come easy right now. But overall, I thought it was a great show. One of the stronger Raws that we've had in a while. The fans in Alabama, they were spot on. They were behind just about every match. I would say, some of the high points being, especially the main event being the biggest high point of the night, and then the women's tag being the lowest point of the night. Even some of the backstage segments, they were really strong. All of it building storylines, and that's one of the biggest things the shows need to do is build those storylines. Try to get the fans, the universe, get us all invested in these matches that they make, so that you're so invested in it. Like with Lyra and Bayley, they have built this rivalry up ever since all this started with Becky jumping in the tag, that they've built this up so long now that when that match happened before the pay-per-view, where they're trying to figure out who's going to face Becky, then we were all invested in that. And then we get to the pay-per-view. Okay, we have a triple threat. We're all invested in that. Monday Night Raw after that, we're still all invested in it because we want to see who's going to be the one that could possibly knock Becky off her high horse and knock her down a couple of pegs and get right back, whether they win the title or not. It's not quite as important as them, Lyra's wanting to show, okay, I'm not this person you've made me out to be, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, they want us to get invested in these matches, and I would say tonight would be one of the ways that they really, last night, that is one of the ways they really got us invested in what's going on and giving us that push for everything to happen at the next pay-per-views, which I believe is the one in Paris. So yeah, I'm going to probably give it 8.5, teetering to 9. So not much more I'm going to say. I got to head out. I got early morning tomorrow. So good night, guys.
All right. Good night, Dee Dee. It was wonderful having you back, and we look forward to having you back with us again very soon. So, all right. 9 out of 10, solid 9 out of 10 for me. This was a great episode of the flagship show. On the heels of a critically acclaimed Evolution, Triple H and the WWE creative team picked up where they left off, giving fans a steady dose of the women's division throughout the first 90 minutes. From the announcement of Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Naomi in that triple threat for the Women's World Championship at SummerSlam, to Lyra Valkyria and Bayley tearing the house down in 3 straight falls, to the Kabuki Warriors, to the Judgment Day running it back for the tag team titles, the women of WWE reiterated their value. When it was time to turn the attention to the world title picture and Gunther's SummerSlam opponent, the show delivered a gauntlet match pitting 5 top stars against each other for over 40 minutes. Throw in the long-awaited surprise return of Roman Reigns, and you have an exclamation point to a 24-hour span of superb shows from WWE. Solid 9 out of 10, and easily one of the best episodes of Raw in 2025. No question about it. So not much more to say. MF, your overall thoughts on last night's Raw, and then we'll get into NXT.
Yeah, there's definitely no arguments here. This was definitely the best Monday Night Raw of 2025, and yeah, I'll give it 9 out of 10. I think they did an unbelievable job under the circumstances. I think they did as solid as they could have done. I was very pleased with the way that the show went. And yeah, so there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it is yours.
And then throw in a banger of a home run derby last night. And that was one of the most exciting Monday Night Raws Monday nights we've had in a long time. And Bullock and I, when we had our Raw chat last night, we ate all of that up. Trust me. So, and we'll have more on the home run derby on Thursday night on TXN Sports World. So now let's move on now to NXT. This was the post Great American Bash episode, so it dealt with all of the fallout from Saturday's event. None of the titles that were on the line changed hands, but we did see a couple of surprises. Not only did Javon Evans defeat the gigantic Jasper Troy, but we also saw Blake Monroe turn heel on Jordynne Grace one day after they successfully teamed up at Great American Bash. During Jordynne Grace's NXT Women's title bout at Evolution, Blake Monroe hit her with the title belt, severing their alliance and kickstarting a feud in the process. Let's take a look at how WWE addressed the events of this past weekend on tonight's episode of NXT. NXT opened with a recap of the events of Great American Bash and Evolution before we went to the arena. for Fatal Influence's entrance. JC Jane alluded to Jasmine Nix being the reason they lost at Great American Bash, but said she and Fallon Henley redeemed themselves at Evolution. And we drop a bomb. TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich shows up and said Blake Monroe is the only reason JC Jane still has the NXT Women's Championship. Jane said she would win the Knockouts title before Zarya and Sol Ruca interrupted. The babyfaces ended up sending the heels out of the ring when it turned into a fight. It was obviously done to set up a 6-woman tag later in the show, which ended up being the main event. Pretty standard heel promo segment for JC Jane. She has done a good job so far as the NXT Women's Champion, but it feels like her group is getting close to ending, and WWE would be wise not to stretch it out too long before people stop caring. So, and you notice Masha's mic wasn't working, and it was a little awkward, but Fallon Henley saved it by giving her a working mic. And this was one of the first times one of the Speed champions were able to wear their belt to the ring for a non-Speed segment. So we shall wait and see what happens with that. So that obviously, it was a standard heel promo. MF, you don't have to talk about it unless you want to. So,
I think it was all right. Like you said, I think there wasn't anything that would have wrote home about, but it served its purpose. Really nothing more. So yeah, let's move on, Anthony.
Yep. And of course, let's not forget the big match, one of the many highlights of a loaded Slammiversary card this Sunday night. Masha Slamovich, JC Jane, champion versus champion, title for title, winner takes all for the TNA Knockouts Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. And we will give you our thoughts on that Friday night on the Cerebral Smack Talk. But for right now, let's move on to our first match of the night. 6-man tag team action. TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams teaming up with the 2 men he will defend against at Slammiversary, Mike Santana and Joe Hendry. They squared off against 3 members of Dark State, Saquon Sugars, Osiris Griffin, and Dion Lennox. Cutler James were in their corner. And the match ended up being a no contest because of interference by another surprise, the System. Brian Myers, Johnny Dango Curtis, and Eddie Edwards. And it ends in a no contest, 9 minutes and 1 second. Whoa. Okay. MF, of course, the fight gets thrown out in 9:01, but the System on NXT, whoa.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming. That was a big surprise. But hey, it was a good surprise. So yeah, really nothing more to add. I think this was at least a 2.25, 2.5 star bout. I wish it could have been a little better, but I'm not going to be too mad about it. So yeah, nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, about 2.5 to 3 for it. This match followed a familiar pattern. It got more chaotic as it went and had a couple of fun moments, but things broke down when the System from TNA showed up and went after Dark State. Most of the match was fine, but nothing of note happened until the end, which was a throwaway ending, so it ended up being a bit of a wash, if I'm going to be honest with you. Trick Williams, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana teaming up a few days after Henry and Santana put Williams through a table is one of those booking decisions that you just have to laugh at sometimes. WWE loves pairing future opponents together for tag matches. And Osiris Griffin has already gotten pretty good at the facial expression aspect of wrestling. And in the grand scheme of things, there is no reason why Trick Williams should want to help Mike Santana and Joe Hendry. He shouldn't have wanted to tag in at all. So 2.5 to 3 for that. Next up, we had, how about this? A battle for the Evolve Women's Championship. That's right, not the NXT Women's Championship, the Evolve Women's Championship. The champion, Callie Armstrong, defending against one of my personal favorites, of course, Carmen Petrovic. Unfortunately, it ends in a disqualification after only 1 minute and 9 seconds. Jordynne Grace, let's just say the Juggernaut, was on the warpath. She was on the warpath. The match was only going for a minute before Jordynne Grace showed up and took out both Callie Armstrong and Carmen Petrovic to cause a no contest finish. She called out Blake Monroe to explain her actions at Evolution. And then Blake Monroe appeared on the big screen from her bubble bathtub to respond. And it was confirmed that next week on NXT, which is going to be on the road next week, it's not going to be at the CWC. They're going to be in Houston. They're going to Houston next week. And Blake Monroe will be making her NXT in-ring singles debut against the No Quarter Catch Crew's Ren Sinclair. That could be interesting. So that obviously gets thrown out. It's an NA. You could also call it dud, but it was really more of an NA, honestly. So, all right, now, big time business here. Well, but then before that, there was we don't often address backstage moments, but they just recently brought back LFG for a second season. They're already airing new episodes of season 2 of LFG Sunday nights at 10 o'clock on A&E. And we had the Undertaker's Team Undertaker, Bailey Humphrey, Danny Sikowski, Shiloh Hill, and I believe Drake Moreau. And Trick Williams shows up, and Trick Williams disrespected them. And, well, let's just say it drew the ire of the Undertaker himself. So much to the point that the Undertaker on his social media announced that next week in Houston, the Undertaker is going to confront Trick Williams. What? Oh my goodness. Can you imagine this? Trick Williams and the Undertaker in the same ring in Houston? Oh, you know we're going to have a lot to say about that next week. So that led to the family business triple threat match. Tony D'Angelo versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo versus Luca Crucifino. And the winner of the match in 13 minutes and 32 seconds, the Don, Tony D'Angelo. Tony D wins the match, 13-32. Hey, all three of these men have good reasons to hate each other, so it was every man for himself. There were no temporary alliances being made right away. All three men were throwing hands from the moment the bell rang. Most of this match was business as usual, but the last couple of minutes picked up and turned into a fun outing. And WWE aired a couple of videos to hype this match. And the spot when someone tries to do a German suplex from the apron while the other guy holds on is always weird because it looks like the guy trying to perform the move would get hurt just as much. The crowd was really getting behind Luca Crucifino, and rightfully so, but it was Tony D winning it on this night. Solid 3.5 stars. Definitely one of the fights of the night for sure. So not much more to say. MF, Tony D'Angelo, the Don, wins this family business triple threat over Stacks and Luca in 13-32.
Yeah, and no, this was easily 3.5 stars, no doubt about it. Great way to start it. Good matchup. Nothing more to say. So yeah, you absolutely called it, Anthony, and it is all yours.
Alrighty, and we move on now to, let's see here. All right, I believe we had an in-ring segment here. Yes. Another in-ring promo segment. Josh Briggs came out to explain why he turned on Yoshiki Inamura. NXT champion Obafemi came out and told Briggs he would have won either way, but Briggs ruined the match because of his jealousy. Inamura showed up and it broke down into a fight that was quickly broken up. And it was announced that next week on NXT in Houston, Obafemi will defend the NXT championship against both Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs in a triple threat match. So there's that. Basically, it was basically almost a carbon copy of that opening segment. That's all there is to say on that. And it sets up the big main event. But let's set the table for next week's show, which will be in Houston. The Undertaker will confront Trick Williams. Jasper Troy goes one-on-one with Ricky Saints. Blake Monroe makes her NXT in-ring singles debut against the No Quarter Catch Crew's Ren Sinclair. And Obafemi will defend the NXT championship in a triple threat match against Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. And it was also noted that the winner of the Slammiversary title versus title match, either Jacy Jayne or Masha Slamovich, with both titles, will appear on that show in Houston next week. So, not much more to say. We move on now to the main event. A 6-woman tag team match. TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich teaming up with the NXT Women's North American champion and Speed champion Sol Ruca, along with Zarya, and they squared off against all 3 members of Fatal Influence, the NXT Women's champion Jacy Jayne, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. The winners of the match, in 12 minutes and 25 seconds, it was the babyface team, Masha Slamovich, Sol Ruca, and Zarya. A lot of things a lot of craziness here. The Culling and Tatum Paxley showed up. Zarya and Sol knocked them out. And then Hank and Tank, the tag champions, took care of Sean Spears and Nico Vance. And Masha Slamovich pinning Jacy Jayne with a snowplow for the win at 12:25. Could that possibly be a booking 101 scenario with Masha getting over here tonight? It's very possible. MF, do I start this or do you start this?
It's you, Florio.
I thought it was. Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right. 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5. Fatal Influence took control after the initial opening, and then Zarya getting the hot tag. Izzy and Tatum came out. All hell broke loose with the Culling, and Masha getting the win for her team. Solid match. Very second best fight of the night on this show. 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5, and there's and Masha Slamovich pinning Jacy Jayne. Could we be looking at a booking 101? It's very possible. So 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5. So not much more to say. MF, Masha Slamovich pinning Jacy Jayne in this match tonight. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, yeah, they did good. 3 1/4, 3.5, no doubt. Really nothing more to say. So yeah, Anthony, it is all yours. 3 1/4, 3.5.
And you lead off on the overall review.
Fine show. I could say about 7.5. Really nothing more to add. And Anthony, it's yours.
7.5 is more like it. Tonight's NXT had to deal with the events of the Great American Bash and Evolution while also helping to hype TNA Slammiversary on Sunday night. While the show managed to juggle all the storylines well enough, it seemed to be lacking a bit in terms of in-ring action. The triple threat with Tony D, Stacks, and Crucifino. Fight of the night. But it was only the last couple of minutes that made it stand out above the rest. Everything else fell in line with the rest of the show. The women's division got a lot of attention with the opening and closing segments of the show, which was great to see. JC Jane has had some doubters during her title reign. So it's great to see management taking the time to feature her as a top star. The relationship with NXT and TNA continues to be a regular fixture. So it'll be interesting to see if either champion loses their title at the pay-per-view this weekend. So 7.5 out of 10. And with that, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you again on Thursday night. I'm sure at our usual time, right, MF?
Yes, it is.
All right, 10:30 Thursday night. And we got a big show. We got the big three. MF is going to start the show front and center with a recap of the big three action that went down this past Sunday at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. So MF will have the big three. He'll recap that, and he'll set the table for this Sunday's games that will take place at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. And then we're going to recap the home run derby, the Major League Baseball home run derby, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And of course, we've also got the ESPY Awards with our mass recaps. And one last thing, I'm making an executive decision. There's one other thing that I do believe should be added to this show. Tomorrow afternoon, they are going to release the 2025-2026 NHL schedule. So, of course, we'll talk a lot more than our New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins and all that. But, we'll talk about the notable stuff. We don't have time to dissect the whole thing, but, we'll address, the key games. That's all. That's what we'll say. So that'll be on Thursday night. And then Friday night, 10:30, MF will have it, Braves Fan 95. We got the Cerebral Smack Talk. We got TNA Impact. We got Friday Night SmackDown. And we will preview the TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view. And then, of course, next week, we come right back. And we'll come right back here next week for Ridiculously Raw. We will definitely squeeze in a Slammiversary review somewhere. Maybe on that show next week. So we'll figure it out. But Raw and NXT for sure next week, of course. So that's it. So until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher. And in spirit, the returning Didi Woodson. And of course, the phenom Michael Bullock. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube at streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.